So today we're going to be talking about everything to do with pipe bending, Pete.
My absolute favourite. If I can bend a pipe on a job rather than use a fitting, I will. And there's, in my opinion, there's nothing better than standing back when you're looking at a job you've done and you've pulled bends instead of using fittings. There's no greater satisfaction. I just think it's a great skill to have. In my opinion, there's two types of guys. There's guys that can bend and know how to bend and they're confident with it.
It's me.
And they'll bend as much and as often as possible. Or there's guys that don't really get it. Something just hasn't clicked. They probably learnt it at college and then stopped on site in the real world. So,
but this is one of the main things that they would teach at college, right?
Yeah, but the way I would teach it is different to how you would learn at college.
Oh, okay.
At college you'll do it, everything will get set out and you'll use angles and things. On site we'll just do it by eye, but I have got some really good tips to help you. If you're not confident at bending, I'm going to show you some top tips on pulling different bends. I'm going to do a few bends wrong so you can see what happens when you go wrong, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll feel a bit more confident in giving pipe bending a go.
Cool.
So
what do you want to do first? You want to talk about different types of pipe bender that you've got?
Yeah, we'll talk about the tools, and then
okay.
Once we've covered that, I'll get down and we'll start pulling some bends.
Cool.
So the most common pipe bender you'll see is this scissor bender. There's loads of different companies make them, but they're all pretty much the same. The only main difference in a couple of the market leader ones is one of the arms will have a crank in it, so it'll be kind of like that and straight. But this one's a pretty standard one. It's very similar to one of the original and best pipe benders, which used to be the Hillmore. That company doesn't exist anymore. Irwin have rebranded that as the Irwin Hillmore. It's, in my opinion, not as good a bender. But if you do your research, there are some good benders. This one's still made off the original Hillmore design. And scissor bender, it does, let's move that out of the way, 15mm this side and 22mm this side. And then you have a 15mm guide, and also in the bag there, 22mm guide, just the back corner there.
Yeah.
So to use this bender, you've got three parts, the bender and the guides.
These are made out of aluminium, right?
Yeah. So you can bend 15 and 22 with this, as much as a 90 bend in one go. There are different benders on the market though. One of the newest ones to the market is in the kit bag. This is the Monument bender. So this one hasn't got a separate guide. The guide's actually built in. It's in two pieces rather than one. And the good thing about this is obviously you can keep it in your kit bag.
But this only does 15.
But this one only does 15. So if you wanted to do 22, you need another two pieces. Mm-hmm. And because 22 is a lot harder to bend than 15, you will probably need the extensions to make the handles longer to give you a bit more leverage. But 22 is tricky to bend for most people. They will have one end of the bender on the floor and pull down against the floor just to help them get it around the 22. If you want to go up from 22 the next size, 28, you wouldn't be able to do it by hand. It would be, I think even Eddie Hall would struggle with that. So you would use a floor mounted.
Which is interesting because on our tube, we do half hard, 15 to 28,
yeah,
inclusive.
But if we've not got any here at the minute, but you can feel the difference between bending a piece of 15.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And a piece of 22.
I've seen you do 22 without,
yeah,
with the pipe bender, but without touching the floor on it.
I mean, that is pretty simple, pretty easy to do. But the jump up in difficulty between that and 22, it's more than twice as difficult. So
thicker tube.
I imagine the 28 with a bender like this would be almost impossible. So I'll just quickly bend one with the Monument, just so you can see how it works.
So I've got a couple of questions.
Yep.
So on this traditional pipe bender, the scissor bender, right, you've got aluminium guides. Now I can see, I don't know how old you've had your pipe bender, Pete, but I can see that it's starting to get a bit tired. I can see some dents in there, and yeah. Is there a life expectation on there? Because obviously there's lots of people going on about rippling a pipe and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think
would some of it be put down to how old you and how well you've kept it? I mean, age is probably less of an issue. It's about how well you treat your tools, possibly.
Yeah, I think most people would lose those rather than them be replaced through wear and tear, but you can see where they've been dropped.
Yeah.
There is a bit of damage. It's more down to maintenance. So obviously we've got a nut and bolt holding the main formers into the bender, which can become loose. These wheels that should turn can become stiff. It gets left out in the rain, it gets wet due to the nature of the job. Things just get stiff, so there is a bit of maintenance you can do. Check there's no damage, check it's nice and clean. You can lubricate the faces of those formers. But what you'll find is if you are...
Because on the Monument ones, there's hardly less working parts, right?
Yeah.
So would these maybe last longer? I don't know. I'm genuinely asking the question.
I mean, personally, I don't use this bender. I stick with the traditional scissor bender, so I couldn't answer that. But
Okay.
I think due to the fact that the copper would leave your factory and it's been tested and it meets the British standard, if there was a problem with it, it would be a problem every time. The fact that it's only in certain circumstances with certain benders, it's either down to the condition of the bender or the way you've pulled the bend. Because I've done it before on a Monument recently. I put it in, really quickly pulled a bend and it rippled the pipe.
Right.
I couldn't get it to do it again. It must have been just something where how I'd positioned it in the bender, how fast I pulled the bend, and it rippled the pipe, but I couldn't get it to do it again. There's certain instances where I know this for a fact on the Rothenberger bender, which is the one with the cranked arm. If you're bending, most people, when they add the copper in, the main length will be behind you. If you bend it with the main weight of the copper in front of you, that almost is certainly guaranteed to ripple. It's something to do with the weight distribution. So it's either the way you're setting up in your bender or your bender needs a bit of maintenance, because, you know, on site these get chucked about, kicked about, they get wet.
But in your opinion, it's still the best way of installing pipework is to do as many bends as possible.
So we've got a swept 90-degree bend there. The water's going to come along and it's just going to, as if there was nothing there really. If there was a 90-degree fit in there, it's going to hit the wall. It's going to change the momentum, the speed of the water. 2 chances for a fitting to leak, 0 chances for that to leak. Especially important with gas. So if you were running a gas supply to a new boiler, say, it could be the difference between having to upsize your gas pipe. So if you can pull bends, you're not restricting the flow of gas. It might be the difference between you having to start from your meter again with a new 28mm supply to get enough gas to the boiler.
Yep.
Which is obviously adds to the cost of the job through materials and labour. So it can help you win jobs by keeping your prices down.
And what you mean by swept is the way that the radius of the bend.
Yeah. So a 90-degree fitting like this press fitting here, I'd call that like a knuckle bend. Whereas that's more
It's tied to that small,
swept bend.
A bit more like a long radius elbow.
Yeah, a long radius bend. Yeah.
And of course, pipe bending is your thing.
Yeah.
We do this at Installer Show. We call it the pipe bending challenge.
Yeah.
People come in, 1 metre length of pipe. You'll challenge people to do it by eye rather than by measurement. And you'll do a 90 and more often a step over.
Yeah, we do a step over, which is the most difficult bend that you'll ever probably likely to do at work. And you'll find guys that have been doing the job 20, 30 years still struggle with it. Obviously, it's hard when people are watching you, you're under pressure, but I think I've got a few tips and foolproof methods to pull the perfect bend every time.
And we can show that in a minute.
Without taking the time to even mark the pipe and to measure out and set out. So hopefully I'm going to cover some tips and tricks on all the different bends, and yeah, hopefully you'll learn something.
So before you actually go through your tutorials,
because there's quite a lot to cover
yeah,
on all the different bends, what we're going to do is we're going to split it up. So if you just want to learn and perfect the most difficult bend, say pass over or step over, that will have its own separate playlist. So there'll be bookmarks in the video so you can jump to, or you can watch the whole thing. But yeah, there's quite a lot to cover.
one thing I was going to ask on the scissor bender is the notches that come
Yeah.
factory made.
So most benders, well, all benders are different, but a lot of them will have these pre-marked. Let's see, got 1, 2, 3 there, little notches on the former. So when you pull to this one, it's a 90-degree bend. This one it's a 45, and this one it's a 30-degree bend. Yours might not have that, but I'm also going to show you a tip on putting your own marks on, which will help you when you come to do the most common bends, the bends you're going to do a lot. You can pull to your own marks, but that will be contained in the video.
And that's the same here on the Monument one,
Yeah.
right? So they got markings on there. Cool. So it's like a helping hand in a way.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed that quick intro into pipe bending. As Pete says, we'll be going through step-by-step guide of how to do some complicated bends. So watch the next video.